Hi everybody, my name is Garrett Baker. Today we're going to be talking about autonomous vehicles. So most of you may know of several vehicle brands that are coming out now with self-driving vehicles. A lot of the well-known ones are Tesla, Ford, GM, Nissan. Most of your main manufacturers are coming out with them now. So today's world, autonomous vehicles are also known as ADAS, which is Advanced Driver Assist Systems, which basically involve millions and millions of lines of technology, sensors, radars, everything in vehicles that come together to create these autonomous self-driving vehicles. Like I said, some of the manufacturers that are really heavy in the industry with this technology is Tesla, and that's what most people recognize when they think of self-driving vehicles. But most all of your regular makes now are coming out with this, such as Ford, GM, Nissan. By 2021, 2022, most every manufacturer there is will have a vehicle out that is self-driving. As far as information that I've gathered, I've gone to about 15 hours worth of I-CAR classes studying ADAS, Advanced Driver Assist Systems, and also autonomous vehicles. That's part of our I-CAR Gold class. Is we have to go to classes and train with about the new technology that comes out every year. Also done tons of research throughout I-CAR, throughout the vehicle manufacturers. Working in a body shop every day, it does require a ton of research on every vehicle that comes in because you never know what systems are in that vehicle. So you may be wondering, how does autonomous vehicles or ADAS equipped vehicles work? So what it involves is a mixture of sensors, radars, sonars, all kinds of fancy stuff that kind of sounds like military, but it's really not. In your front bumpers of vehicles, you'll see sensors, and behind those sensors in the front bumpers, you have radar detectors. So you might have them on both the front corners and both the rear corners of your vehicle behind the bumpers that you can't see, but those radar detectors help detect vehicles, help your automatic cruise control, your self-driving, all of your different things. Also a new thing that's come out is cameras behind your windshield. So if you look up top, most 2016 to 2017 vehicles and newer now are coming out with cameras behind their windshields, and these help avoid collisions. So if somebody's not paying attention, it actually automatically brakes itself, slows down the cruise control, things of that nature for the drivers, which shows the driving by itself. So there is lots of different technology that's in a vehicle. There could be a mixture of all these, there could be one or two. It just depends. Every vehicle manufacturer has their own things that really promotes their vehicle and how it works. So for the future, what's coming out with this technology, like I said, by 2022 all the manufacturers will have something like this out, but it's definitely going to become more common. All your vehicles now in 2018, it is required by state law and also federal law that all vehicles have backup cameras and that all vehicles have reverse and forward sensors that are now coming out. So that's just the basis, where 4 years ago that was like only in your highest class vehicles. So now it's mandatory. So within the next 5 to 10 years, all this stuff that we think of as not very common, that we don't see every day, it's probably going to be in your everyday vehicles, and who knows what the technology is going to be like at that time. Now, when it comes to repairing vehicles with ADAS, it definitely throws a loop in things. It is a huge process to get this stuff fixed. It requires tons of recalibration. Anywhere, like a BMW, it has to have about 12 different targets to recalibrate the front-facing camera. And those targets alone cost $40,000. And Nissan, you can get the targets for about $1,200. So everyone's variant and every manufacturer has their own targets to recalibrate everything by, and their own diagnostic scan tools and other computer systems you have to scan, to equip these vehicles with this, to repair these vehicles with this, such as the 2018 Honda Accord. Just that vehicle alone, if you have a front bumper collision, you have to calibrate the camera behind the windshield. Even though that has nothing to do with it, all the systems are intertwined and intertangled. Everything has to be recalibrated once you've even had a minor collision. The only problem with ADAS is I don't think there's been enough testing out in the field. All the scientists have done things and all the different people have done the testing, but it hasn't gone through enough real life scenarios. Eventually there is going to be deaths, there is going to be issues, there's going to be collisions, where this technology has failed and no one really knows what to do at that point because that hasn't happened yet. So in the future, that's going to be a big thing, is determining who's at fault when you have a vehicle that has ADAS on it. And that brings, what if the ADAS fails, what do you do? Well, there's not much you can do because you're letting the vehicle drive itself. So if you're going down the road and say a dog or something runs out in front of you and it doesn't detect it in time and you run over that dog, then, you know, what's the point of the autonomous systems in it? So there's a lot of testing that still need to be worked out and a lot of bugs. It is on the road today, but it is definitely not foolproof yet. And the only other problems with ADAS is a lot of it is, like I said, tested on the track in the lab. It's not real world scenarios. So there's a good chance that it may detect a cardboard person, but it might not detect a real person. And it might not detect a real person moving on a bicycle or a real person walking across the street. And without all this testing being done, it's really just throwing it out in the air to see what happens for people. So that's what happens with autonomous vehicles and ADAS. There's a ton of new vehicles coming out, so if you get one, you'll be one of the first ones, and hopefully you like it.